Welcome. I see you came back for more of Meg's mysteries. This one is a whodunit and why. Solve the case if you dare. Welcome to Westley Manor. While at our normal get-together, it was our turn for game night with our friends, Liz and TJ, Flo and Felix, and Sheila and Pete. They are our best friends from our school days. We all came together in grade school with the love of the game of playing board games. We made up a game club and we're still playing it after all these years. Our favorite was the board game Clue. We loved the mystery and we all were hooked from that day on. We also liked to play role games like Dungeons and Dragons, among others. So how could we resist this invite to a mysterious mystery game in a New England manor house? My name is Jan, and I saw the ad in the local paper. Murder at the Manor, a mystery game not for the faint of heart, but for true sleuth solvers. 4 couples will be invited to play the murder mystery and solve the murder or murderers. Stay and play for $1 million if you solve the mystery. They all sat up and took notice while I read the article. $1 million? We can do this, Felix said. Flo said, I'll do it for nothing just to stay at an old manor house in New England and play a board game. Vic and Sheila also agreed, but Pete said, what's the catch? I told him there is a number to contact. I'll go call while you set up the Dungeon and Dragon game. I'll be right back. Our normal game was now Dungeons and Dragons, but this one sounds so good we all hoped we'd be accepted. I went to call, and an old English gentleman answered. May I help you? I told him I'm calling about the mystery game. I saw an ad in the paper, and we're all very interested. I have 8 people in our game club, and we love a good mystery. He asked me to hold on while he gets the master of the house. Hello, I'm Bryant Westley, and I can answer any questions you might have. But before we go on, I need some information about you all. Names, ages, also some personal information. One can't be too careful these days letting strangers into their home. I told him what he wanted to know, nothing too personal. Our names, our ages, how long we were friends, and where we all lived. He told me, I'll be getting in touch with you soon. I must okay it with my grandmother. She is the head of the house and head of the family, Madam Martha Westley. I said, we'll be waiting. Then I looked her up on the internet. She was from an old New England family and was very rich and very old. She had 2 grandsons, Bryant and Henry, and a great-granddaughter, Jeanette. A few days later, we got an answer, and we were picked to stay and play. We wanted to make it a road trip, but Felix got us all good deals on airfare. So we got our tickets, and we're getting excited about our new mystery adventure. In the meantime, I received a call from Bryant Westley. His grandmother had passed away. She was ill for a long time, and he was now the master and owner of the manor. I told him how sorry we were to hear that and gave him our deepest condolences. He said her last wish was that we still come, stay, and play. She also loved a good mystery game, and it was she who thought up the game. So the next week we were off to Westley Manor and the game, Murders in the Manor. The plane ride was about 2 hours, and then we were in New England. A man was there waiting for us, holding up a sign. Welcome, players. He said, I will take you to the manor. He seemed very proper and very English. I found out later that he was also the manor's butler, James. The manor was larger than we all imagined, so grand and so old for an old estate, but it was well kept up. Flo asked, how many rooms? He told us 13 bedrooms, a parlor, a formal living room, a dining room, library, and a large game room. We also have a wine cellar and an old dungeon, but we don't use that anymore, and no one is allowed down there." He didn't even crack a smile when he said it. We were shown to our rooms and will meet the master for dinner. When we met Bryant Westley, he said his brother Henry and his sister Jeanette were away, but they'll meet us later. After dinner, he gave us all the rules of the game. It will take as long as we need to solve the murders and play the game till the end. Jan looked at us and said, "What does that mean? How long could it take to play a game?" Pete still questioned the whole thing, but Sheila said, "For $1 million, we can do this. Stay for a couple of days, can't we?" Bryant said, "Rest up. Begin the game tomorrow." The next day after breakfast, we began in the game room. The board and its pieces were all set up and waiting for us. The board was the manor house and all the rooms, and the pieces were all the people in the house. An old woman, Mrs. Beasley, she was head of the staff. Dr. Baines, there was Lottie the maid, James the butler, Jeanette Westley, Bryant Westley, Henry Westley, George the stable boy, and then there was Madame Martha Westley, the grandmother and the head of the family. They were all the pieces of the games. The figures of each piece looked exactly like the real people. We saw many family portraits of them when the maid Lottie showed us all around. We also met Mrs. Beasley when we arrived. The doctor was the only one we never met. Bryant said the game is simple. You must find out the victims, the murderer, how, when, and where, and why. All the murders were in the manor. You must solve all the murders and the souls will be released to move on. TJ said, "Boy, this is a strange game, but a mystery is a mystery. Let's get to it. The game's afoot." Liz said, "TJ, you're so dramatic, but let's start." There were cards like the clue game of victims, murderers, how, where, when, why, information cards. They tell the story. We must figure it all out from our clues. We have to put our pieces in each room with the weapon and reason card, and the murderer and the victim, so we can find the killer. But it wasn't that easy. We had many breaks to eat and rest. We were playing long into the night. Then I got a feeling that we were not alone, and a misty fog came into the room. It got colder than a winter's morning. We all saw it, and we felt the chill. Then Flo stood up, and in a strange voice she said, "Go to the parlor, that's where he killed me." Then we all followed her to the parlor, and she pointed up at the portrait of a young girl over the fireplace. It was Jeanette Westley. The maid had told us all the names of the family's paintings as she gave us a tour when we arrived. Then Flo pointed up to the painting. "I was murdered. You must find my killer." Then Flo was back to normal and didn't remember a thing that had happened. "How did they do that?" said Pete. "This is too strange. We should get out of here. I didn't sign up for a ghost and a real murderer." Then Mrs. Beasley came in. "You can't go. There are many unsolved murders here, and we all need your help." I said, "What do you mean, many murders?" She said, "Poor Jeanette was the first murdered in this very room. Her body was found in the wine cellar, and she's still here until you can solve the murder. Play the game." I said, "Who else was murdered?" She said, "I myself was the next victim because I knew too much. I was thrown down the cellar steps to my death, but I didn't see who did it. Yes, I'm still here. If you solve all the murders, we can move on." Then she started to fade ghostly in and out. Felix yelled, "How many died here?" She said, "All of us. We are all ghosts and stuck here except for one who covered up the murders." So we did what we do best. We played the game till the end. and we played it excellently. Solved all the murders of the manor. The first murder. The murderer was Bryant. He killed his sister Jeanette by accident, he said. She wanted to run away with George the stable boy, but Bryant wanted her to marry a wealthy landowner. The family needed money, and they were broke. He grabbed her, and she pulled away from him, falling and hitting her head on the mantel. He hid her body in the wine cellar. Another one was Dr. Baines. He killed the Madam Westley. She was so old and sick, and she was in so much pain. He had loved her when they were young, and he gave her an overdose. He couldn't bear to see her like that. Henry, her youngest grandson, found out. He shot the doctor, but the doctor shot him too. They both fired and killed each other. The maid Lottie put poison in the last meal Bryant had, because in a rage he killed George the stable boy. Bryant killed him in a rage because he was going to run off with Jeanette. Lottie was in love with George. She never knew he was in love with Jeanette and planned to leave her. Then finally, Lottie the maid threw herself out the window of the attic. She was heartbroken because her love was gone. Okay, the only one left alive in this crazy manor was James the butler. Yes, the butler did it. But he did not figure in all the ghosts staying and torturing him and haunting him. He had put all their bodies down in the old dungeon. No one ever goes down there, I remember him saying. He made up the game to release the ghost. He couldn't stand living with them anymore. So we finished the game, did our jobs, and got $1 million to split between us. James will be here alone in the manor until his death. Hope he doesn't call us back to help him move on. We didn't tell anyone. That was the rule to get the $1 million. Now the ghosts are gone, and no one is the wiser but us. So that was the end of the game. Did you guess who, how, and why? Games are fun, aren't they? Unless they're the real thing. Hope you enjoyed playing along. Did you catch the killer? Let me know in a comment. Thank you. Have a good day.